Lieutenant Jeho Park sat at his monitoring station in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, located deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The clock showed 3:27 a.m., and his coffee had gone cold hours ago. He had been watching the deep space communication arrays for 5 years, and every night was the same. Until today. The first signal came as a small blip on his screen. Jeho almost missed it while adjusting his headset. But then it came again, stronger this time. It wasn't random space noise or a failing satellite. This signal had a pattern. "Control, this is Monitor Station 7, Jeho said into his microphone. His voice was steady, just like in all the drills they had practiced. "I'm picking up an artificial signal from beyond lunar orbit, running Pattern Analysis Protocol 17. In less than 30 seconds, the entire command center came alive. Red lights flashed silently as staff rushed to their stations. They had practiced this scenario hundreds of times, but this was real. Colonel Lee stepped out of the elevator, already in his uniform. "Report, Lieutenant Park. Signal matches known patterns for artificial communication, sir. It's not one of ours." Jeho's fingers moved quickly across his keyboard. The message is repeating every 108 seconds. Computer confirms it's being broadcast in over 500 different formats. "Initiate First Contact Protocol Alpha," Colonel Lee ordered. He pressed his palm against a scanner, and a hidden panel in the wall slid open. Inside was a thick red book with the words "First Contact Scenario Response Guide" printed on its cover. Within an hour, military bases worldwide went on quiet alert. No panic, no visible changes. Everything happened behind the scenes, just as they had planned. Nuclear submarines silently changed position. Satellite weapons platforms powered up without showing any external signs. And in hidden bunkers around the world, thousands of military personnel opened similar red books and began following their instructions. The alien message, when decoded, was simple. "We come in peace, preparing for atmospheric entry in 6 hours. Coordinates follow." Jeho watched as his superiors gathered in the command center. They didn't look surprised or scared. Instead, they pulled out another book. This one marked Atmospheric Entry Scenario 47B. "They're following the exact pattern we predicted in the simulation from 2157, one general said, flipping through the pages, right down to the time window they're giving us. A large ship appeared on their tracking systems, approaching Earth at a steady speed. It was massive, almost 3 kilometers long. But Earth was ready. Hidden defense platforms tracked its movement while appearing inactive. Ground-based weapons remained powered down, but ready to activate in seconds. The alien vessel stopped just outside Earth's atmosphere. A new message came through. "We represent the Galactic Council. Your species has reached the technological threshold for first contact. We offer membership in our coalition of species. You have 30 standard days to accept or face isolation from galactic society." Jeho looked up from his station to see his superiors smiling. Colonel Lee pulled out yet another book, this one labeled Galactic Federation Contingency Response Plan. "Send the standard welcome package," Colonel Lee ordered, "and inform all stations to begin Implementation Plan 223, Peaceful Contact with Technological Ultimatum." Jeho sent the message, then noticed something interesting on his screen. The alien ship had deployed what looked like defensive shields after delivering their ultimatum. They were clearly expecting Earth to be frightened or angry at their demands. Instead, humanity's response was calm and organized. As Jeho watched the situation unfold, he realized why his superiors were so confident. Earth hadn't just prepared for first contact. They had prepared for every possible type of first contact. The aliens thought they were surprising humanity, but humanity had been getting ready for this moment for over 100 years. The aliens' next message came through with what Jeho's instruments detected as confusion in their transmission pattern. "You already have a response prepared." Colonel Lee smiled as he read from the book. "Send reply pattern 47. We look forward to discussing the terms of our membership. Our delegation is ready to depart at your convenience." As the command center continued its efficient response to humanity's first alien contact, Jiho realized that today marked the beginning of a new era. But unlike the aliens above, he knew humanity wasn't stepping into the unknown. They were simply turning to the next chapter in a very well-written book. Captain Sun Mei Li stood in the pristine white hallway of the Galactic Council's space station. Behind her, 6 officers carried large metal cases marked with Earth's new planetary seal. The cases contained humanity's ceremonial gift to the Council, though none of the aliens knew what was inside. The alien guards looked at Sun Mei and her team with curiosity. Most species brought weapons or advanced technology as their entry gifts, but Earth's cases were different. They made no noise, gave off no energy readings, and showed no signs of dangerous materials. Ambassador Clough, a tall being with silvery skin, approached the Earth delegation. "Captain Lee, the Council is ready to receive Earth's representatives. Please follow me." The Council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of different alien species sat in rising rows of seats, all looking down at the Earth delegation. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. But Sun Mei noticed they all shared one thing. They were watching Earth's metal cases with great interest. "Representatives of Earth," the head counselor spoke, his voice automatically translated into English. "As is tradition, we ask that you present your species' gift to the Council. Through this gift, we will better understand your civilization." Sun Mei stepped forward. She had practiced this moment many times. "Honorable Council, Earth brings neither weapons nor technology. Instead, we offer something unique, our contingency archives." The officers behind her opened the cases. Inside were thousands of data crystals and printed books, each carefully organized and labeled. Sun Mei held up one of the books. "This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, our plans for every possible scenario we could imagine." These archives contain detailed responses to over 1 million different situations, from first contact protocols to plans for surviving the heat death of the universe. A murmur ran through the Council chamber. Sun Mei continued, "For example, this volume contains our responses to 7,432 different types of first contact scenarios, including," she paused for effect, "the exact situation we encountered when you arrived at Earth." The head counselor leaned forward. "You mean to say you had already planned for our specific method of contact?" "Yes," Sun Mei replied. "It was Scenario 47B in our first contact response guide. We even predicted the 30-day deadline you gave us." She opened another case. "These crystals contain our plans for joining the Galactic Council. We have prepared for 12,851 different possible membership scenarios." The Council chamber erupted in confused discussions. Some representatives laughed, thinking this was a joke. Others looked concerned. The head counselor raised his hand for silence. "Captain Lee, while impressive, isn't this level of planning excessive? Most species focus on real threats, not imaginary scenarios." Sun Mei smiled. "With respect, Counselor, every scenario is imaginary until it happens. Humanity has learned this lesson many times. We believe it is better to have a plan and not need it, than to need a plan and not have it." She gestured to the cases. "Each plan here was created by our best minds, tested in simulations, and updated regularly. We have plans for peaceful trade, for war, for natural disasters, for technological breakthroughs, and even for the complete restructuring of the galaxy." A representative from a warrior species spoke up. "This is why you responded so calmly to our arrival. You were not surprised because you had already thought of everything we might do." "Exactly," Sun Mei confirmed. "And now we offer these archives to the Council. Not just our plans, but our way of thinking. Our gift is not the books or the data crystals. It is humanity's approach to facing the unknown." The head counselor studied the Earth delegation carefully. "In all our history, no species has ever presented such a gift. We will need time to process this unusual offering." Sun Li nodded, knowing that Phase 1 of Earth's Council Integration Plan 223 was proceeding exactly as their planners had predicted. Soon, the Council would discover just how valuable humanity's excessive planning could be. Director Taiwan Kim was reviewing Earth's latest updates to the archives when the emergency alarms sounded throughout the Galactic Council station. He looked up from his desk to see alien representatives running past his office door. Something was very wrong. His communication device lit up with an urgent message from the council chamber. 3 minutes later, he walked into a room filled with panic. The massive display screen showed red alert symbols across multiple star systems. "The Ravagers have broken through our outer defenses," the head counselor announced, his usual calm voice now shaking. "They attacked 12 systems at once. Our standard defense protocols have failed." Taiwan studied the tactical displays. The Ravagers were a species that had rejected Council membership years ago. Now they had returned with a massive fleet, using attack patterns that overwhelmed the Council's defensive systems. "Our forces are retreating from all contact points," a military commander reported. "The Ravagers are using new tactics we've never seen before. They're adapting to our responses faster than we can adjust our strategies." The council chamber descended into chaos as more bad news arrived. 3 colony worlds had already fallen. The Ravagers weren't taking prisoners or making demands. They were simply destroying everything in their path. Taiwan walked to the center of the chamber and cleared his throat. The universal translators carried his voice to all present. "If I may suggest, the Earth archives contain a specific plan for this type of situation." The room grew quiet. The head counselor turned to him. "Director Kim, this is not the time to discuss your species' theoretical plans. We are facing a real crisis." "With respect," Taiwan replied, already walking to the archive storage room. "Earth has planned for exactly this scenario." He returned carrying a data crystal marked X-274. "This is our plan for defending against a superior force using multi-system guerrilla tactics." The council's military commanders looked skeptical, but the head counselor nodded. "Show us." Taiwan inserted the crystal into the main display system. Detailed battle plans, equipment modifications, and tactical responses appeared on the screens. The plans were incredibly specific, down to the smallest details. "This is Contingency Plan X-274, Taiwan explained. "It was created 50 years ago on Earth, designed to help a technologically disadvantaged force resist a superior enemy across multiple star systems." He pointed to different sections of the plan. "We need to abandon traditional defensive positions. Instead, we'll use civilian ships modified with stealth technology. We'll turn star system debris into weapon platforms. Most importantly, we'll fight in ways the Ravagers won't expect." "These plans," a military commander said, studying the displays, "they account for scenarios we're seeing right now." "How did Earth predict this?" "We didn't predict it specifically," Taiwan replied. "But humanity has a long history of asymmetric warfare. We've learned that superior forces can be defeated if you change the rules of engagement. This plan combines thousands of years of human military experience with advanced space warfare concepts." The head counselor stood up. "How quickly can we implement these strategies?" Taiwan smiled. This was why Earth's archives included not just plans, but also step-by-step implementation guides. "We can begin immediately. The archives include everything from ship modification plans to crew training protocols. Earth's military advisors are ready to assist." As the Council began mobilizing according to Earth's plan, Taiwan sent a message back to Earth. "Contingency Plan X-274 now in effect. Request immediate deployment of implementation team." He knew that somewhere in the archives was a plan for what would happen after they defeated the Ravagers. Humanity had learned long ago that winning the war was only the beginning. You also needed to plan for peace. Strategic Commander Hainul Choi stood on the bridge of the modified cargo ship Silent Dawn. The vessel looked like a regular transport from the outside, but inside it was now a mobile command center. This was just one of the many changes suggested in Earth's Contingency Plan X-274. Status report. Hay Newell called out to her mixed crew of humans and aliens. The bridge crew had worked together for only 3 days, but they moved with practiced efficiency. Earth's training protocols had prepared them for exactly this situation. All stealth systems working perfectly, reported her alien second officer. The Ravager's patrol ships have passed us 3 times without detecting us. The modifications from your archives work better than we expected. Newell nodded and turned to the tactical display. Across 3 star systems, hundreds of cargo ships like hers were being transformed into hidden weapon platforms. The Council had doubted this plan at first, but now they saw its brilliance. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. Launch the solar debris pods. Throughout the nearby asteroid field, small devices activated. These were simple machines, built from mining equipment according to Earth's plans. They began breaking down asteroids into clouds of dust and small rocks, creating zones where Ravager ships would have to slow down and be vulnerable. Commander, her communications officer called out, we're receiving reports from all sectors. The civilian ships are in position. Mining outposts have been converted to weapon platforms. All teams report ready for Operation Scattered Thunder. Hay Newell checked her tactical screen one last time. The Ravagers had pushed deep into Council space, confident in their superior technology and numbers. They had no idea they were now surrounded by hundreds of hidden weapons platforms and modified ships. Send the signal, she ordered. All units begin operations according to plan. Across the star system, civilian ships suddenly revealed hidden weapon systems. Mining lasers, modified to military use, powered up. Clouds of metallic debris, carefully positioned over the past few days, began moving under the control of hidden gravity generators. The Ravagers' first sign of trouble came when their lead ships hit the debris fields. As they slowed down, hidden weapons opened fire from multiple directions. Their superior shields meant nothing when attacked from 12 different angles at once. The Ravagers are attempting to form defensive formations, reported the tactical officer, just as the archives predicted they would. Newell smiled. Launch Phase 3. Begin the holographic merchant fleet operation. Hundreds of fake ship signatures appeared on the Ravager's sensors, making them think a large merchant fleet had accidentally jumped into the battle zone. As the Ravagers moved to attack these easy targets, they exposed themselves to the real hidden ships. Their fleet is splitting up exactly as planned, Hay Newell observed. Send word to all commanders. Execute their assigned attack patterns. Remember, we don't need to destroy them. We just need to make them think they can't win. The battle unfolded exactly as Earth's planners had predicted. The Ravagers, faced with an enemy they couldn't find and couldn't predict, began to retreat. Their perfect formation broke apart as each ship captain tried to deal with threats from unknown directions. Message from Council Command, the communications officer announced. Similar reports coming in from all sectors. The Ravagers are falling back everywhere they face our new tactics. Newell watched as the mighty Ravager fleet retreated in confusion. Earth's seemingly excessive planning had turned into the Council's greatest advantage. The archives hadn't just provided battle plans, they had given the Council a new way of thinking about warfare. Send word to all ships, she ordered. Begin pursuit according to Chase Pattern Delta. And remind all commanders, this isn't just about winning today's battle. Every move we make is teaching the Ravagers that they can't predict us. That's how we'll win this war. Dr. Min Seo-yoon walked through the grand halls of the Galactic Archives, her footsteps echoing in the quiet space. As the first human anthropologist allowed to study alien civilizations, she had a unique task, helping the Council understand why humans plan so extensively for everything. Today, she would present her findings to the Council's Science Division. The huge meeting room was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Many of them had initially thought humans were paranoid. Now, after the success against the Ravagers, they wanted to understand humanity's way of thinking. Distinguished members of the Council, Min-seo began, standing at the center of the room. I have spent the past 3 months studying how different species prepare for the future. What I discovered explains much about humanity's unique approach. She displayed images from various alien worlds. Most council species developed on stable planets. They faced few natural disasters. Their evolution was peaceful, but Earth was different. The screens showed Earth's history: volcanoes erupting, ice ages, meteor impacts, and natural disasters. Humans evolved on a planet that could kill them at any moment. We learned to prepare for anything because anything could happen. A council member raised a hand. But surely other species faced challenges too. Yes, Min-seo agreed, but humans faced them differently. When other species found a good solution, they stopped looking for alternatives. Humans kept planning, kept thinking of new possibilities, because on Earth, what worked today might not work tomorrow. She showed more images, this time of human history. We survived ice ages by planning ahead and storing food. We survived natural disasters by building different types of shelters. Every challenge taught us to think about what might come next. The screens changed to show pages from Earth's archives. This is why we created the Contingency archives. It wasn't paranoia. It was wisdom learned from our planet's harsh lessons. We plan for everything because we learned that anything can happen, and energy being floated forward. But how do humans decide which plans to make? There are infinite possibilities. Min-seo smiled. We don't try to plan for everything. We plan for categories of problems. Then we make our plans flexible. It's like having a box of tools. You don't need a specific tool for every job, but you need tools that can adapt to different situations. She displayed footage from the recent battles with the Ravagers. Look at how Earth's plans worked against the Ravagers. We didn't have a specific plan for fighting them. We had a plan for fighting any stronger enemy. The plan worked because it was built on principles, not specific details. The room grew quiet as understanding spread. Min-seo continued, humans don't just plan because we're worried about threats. We plan because it gives us confidence. When you have a plan, you can face the unknown without fear. She showed one final image. The Earth, as seen from space. Our planet taught us that change is constant. The species that survive aren't the strongest or the smartest. They're the ones who are most prepared for change. The council members began to nod in understanding. One of them spoke up. So when humans gave us the archives, you weren't just giving us plans. You were teaching us a new way to think about the future. Exactly, Min-seo confirmed. The real gift wasn't the plans themselves. It was the understanding that the universe is full of surprises, and the best way to face them is to be ready for anything. As she concluded her presentation, Min-seo saw new respect in the aliens' eyes. They finally understood that human planning wasn't a sign of fear. It was a sign of wisdom learned from Earth's harshest lessons. Admiral Jin-Woo Kang stood at the command center of the Council's main defense station. The massive screens before him showed the positions of both Council and Ravager forces across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. After months of fighting, the time had come for the decisive push. All fleet commanders report ready, his communications officer announced. The hidden supply bases are fully stocked. Every ship has received their sealed orders, just as specified in the archives. Jin-Woo nodded, remembering how the Council had questioned this approach at first. They didn't understand why each ship needed different orders, or why those orders needed to stay secret until the last moment. Now they understood. The Ravagers couldn't predict what they couldn't see. Begin Operation Shadow Web, Jin-Woo commanded. His voice was calm, though this would be the largest coordinated military action in Council history. All ships commenced their assigned movements. Across the galaxy, thousands of vessels began to move. Some were warships, others were converted civilian craft. Each one followed its own unique course. To the Ravagers watching them, the movement seemed random and confused. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Ravagers are responding exactly as the simulations predicted. They're splitting their forces to chase our scattered ships. Jinwu allowed himself a small smile. The Archives had predicted this too. The Ravagers fought like most military forces. They saw scattered ships as easy targets. They didn't realize they were being pulled into a trap centuries in the planning. Phase 2, he ordered. Activate the quantum buoys. Across the battlefield, hidden devices powered up. These simple buoys, based on old human sonar technology, began broadcasting false sensor readings. Suddenly, the Ravagers' superior scanning systems became their weakness. They were seeing things that weren't there and missing things that were. The Ravager fleet is losing formation, reported the tactical officer. Their command structure is breaking down as each ship receives different sensor data. Jinwu watched as the carefully planned chaos unfolded. Earth's military historians had studied every major battle in human history. They knew that even the strongest army could be defeated if it lost its ability to coordinate. Launch Phase 3, he commanded. All ships execute their sealed orders. The scattered council ships suddenly turned as one. What had looked like random movement was revealed as a complex dance. Planned months in advance, every ship had been moving to a precise position, creating a web of crossfire zones. The Ravagers found themselves caught in hundreds of small ambushes at once. Their mighty warships, designed for head-on battles, were being attacked from all angles by smaller, more agile vessels. Their advanced shields couldn't handle attacks coming from so many directions at once. Multiple Ravager ships are powering down their weapons, the communications officer reported. They're signaling surrender. Jinwu nodded. The Archives had predicted this too. The Ravagers weren't cowards. They were pragmatic. Once they realized they were trapped in a superior strategy, they would choose survival over destruction. Send the standard surrender protocols from Section 7 of the Archives, Jinwu ordered, and inform all commanders, maintain positions exactly as planned. Victory is good, but controlling the peace that follows is even more important. As he watched the Ravager fleet surrender one ship at a time, Jinwu thought about all the humans who had contributed to the Archives over the centuries. They had never known if their plans would be needed, but they had prepared them anyway. Thanks to their foresight, the galaxy was about to enter a new era of peace, one that humanity had already planned for. Major Do-hyun Ryu walked into the Grand Teaching Hall of the Galactic Military Academy. 1 year after the Ravager War, he had been asked to create a new course, Human Strategic Planning Methods. Today was his first class, and the room was filled with military officers from over 50 different species. "Welcome," Do-hyun said, his words automatically translated for all present. "Today we begin learning not just what humans plan for, but how we think about planning itself." He activated the room's display system, showing images of Earth's archives. Many of you have seen our contingency plans in action. Now you will learn to create your own. A tall reptilian officer raised his hand. "But how can we possibly plan for everything like humans do? It would take centuries." Do-hyun smiled. "We don't plan for everything. We plan for types of problems. Let me show you." He brought up a simple diagram. When humans make plans, we start with basic principles. These work for many different situations. He displayed footage from the Ravager War. "Look at how we defeated the Ravagers. We didn't have a specific plan for fighting their exact ships or weapons. Instead, we had principles. Confuse the enemy, turn their strength into weakness, and attack from unexpected directions." The students watched carefully as Do-hyun explained each principle. He showed them how one basic idea could solve many different problems. The aliens began to understand that human planning wasn't about predicting the future. It was about being ready for change. "Now," Do-hyun said, "let's practice making plans together." He divided the class into small groups, mixing species together. Each group will face a different challenge. You must work together to create plans that can handle multiple scenarios. The room filled with excited discussion as the different species shared their unique perspectives. A group of energy beings worked with solid matter species, combining their different ways of thinking. Former enemies sat together, learning to see problems from new angles. Remember, Du Hyun advised as he walked between the groups, a good plan is like a tree. It has strong roots, the basic principles. It has a strong trunk, the main strategy. And it has many branches, different ways to handle different situations. As the day went on, Du Hyun saw understanding grow in his students' eyes. They weren't just learning to make plans, they were learning a new way of thinking about the future. One more thing, he said near the end of class. Notice how we're all working together. That's another human principle. We believe that different perspectives make our plans stronger. An officer made of pure light spoke up. Is this why Earth's archives keep growing? You're still adding new plans even after the war. Exactly, Du Hyun confirmed. The archives are never finished because the future is never finished. Every new species that joins us brings new ideas, new ways of thinking. We add these to our plans, making them better. As the class ended, Du Hyun watched his students leave in excited groups, still discussing what they had learned. He sent his daily report back to Earth. Phase 1 of Galactic Integration Plan complete. Council species are not just learning our plans. They're learning to think like planners. The revolution wasn't happening with weapons or ships. It was happening in classrooms and meeting halls across the galaxy. Species that had once seen humans as strangely paranoid now understood the wisdom in being prepared. The galaxy was changing, one plan at a time. 10 years had passed since Earth first joined the Galactic Council. Head Counselor Yoon Song stood at the grand podium in the Council's central chamber, looking out at the assembled representatives of over 1,000 species. The chamber was larger now, expanded to accommodate all the new members who had joined after seeing how the Council handled the Ravager threat. Yoon remembered when she had first arrived here as a junior diplomat from Earth. Now, as the first human head counselor, she was about to announce the completion of the galaxy's greatest project. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. 10 years ago, Earth joined this council with an unusual gift, our contingency archives. Today, I am proud to announce that we have completed the first galactic archive of preparedness. The great screens behind her lit up, showing a massive space station orbiting a distant star. This was the new home of the combined knowledge of all Council species. This archive is not just Earth's plans anymore, Yuna continued. It contains the wisdom and preparation strategies of every member species. We have learned from each other and grown stronger together. She gestured to different sections of the audience. The energy beings of the luminous clouds taught us how to plan for events that happen outside normal spacetime. The crystal species of the deep rings showed us how to prepare for changes that take millennia to unfold. Each member has added their unique perspective. The screens changed to show ships patrolling peaceful borders. Our combined fleet now protects all Council space. But more importantly, every ship carries not just weapons, but plans and protocols created by all our species working together. Yuna paused, looking at the faces before her. Many species that had once been suspicious of each other now worked side by side. The Ravagers taught us an important lesson. No single species, no matter how advanced, can prepare for everything alone. But together, we can be ready for anything. She pressed a button on her podium, and new images appeared. Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching from beyond the galaxy's edge. We don't know what it is yet. In the past, this news would have caused panic. The chamber remained calm as Yuna smiled. But today, we are ready. The new archives contain 47,000 possible response plans for first contact with extragalactic beings. Every fleet and colony has already received their contingency orders. We face this unknown together, prepared and unafraid. The assembled representatives stood and applauded. Yuna could see the confidence in their expressions. The galaxy had changed. Species that once rushed into crisis after crisis now approached challenges with careful thought and preparation. And so, she concluded, We enter a new era, not just of peace or cooperation, but of readiness. Whatever the universe brings, we face it as one civilization, with the combined wisdom of all our peoples. As the applause filled the chamber, Yuna thought about how far they had come. Earth's gift of the archives had started as a curiosity, became a necessity during war, and had finally transformed into something greater, a new way of thinking that united the galaxy. Her communication device lit up with a message from the border fleets. The unknown object was getting closer, but Yuna felt no fear. After all, they had a plan for this. They had plans for everything.